The global economy is already suffering from slowing global growth. We talked about that a moment ago. There's also the trade war with the US and the prolonged protests in Hong Kong taking their toll. Now the outbreak is threatening one of the world's busiest travel markets and the ripple effects that go well beyond China's border. OK, let's start with the aviation and the cruise industries that are currently bearing the brunt. We'll deal with cruise industries and ships in a moment. Let's start, first of all, with airlines. Now, airlines around the world are suspending or cutting flights to and from China en masse. The Lunar New Year is a peak travel season in China, we know that. Now, compare the air traffic from China's busiest airports. This was over the airspace on the eastern side of China. Last year, 2019, Lunar New Year. Look how busy it is. Now look what it was like in 2020. And many of these services will have since been dropped. The IATA Director General, Alexandre de Juniac, says the airline industry is prepared to deal with the outbreak. Speaking earlier, he told me maintaining some service in China can actually help fight the outbreak too.
What we have to say is it is useful when there is an outbreak everywhere that the service is maintained at a reasonable level, because the airlines bring medical material, equipment, people, so doctors, nurses. So it's an important point not to cancel the entire service. Otherwise, it's a problem. It increases the problem.
As the sort of representative of the world's airlines, are you happy with the flow of information that there has been from China to the airlines, from the WHO to the airlines? I mean, we've had plenty of health crises by now. We should know how to do it properly. Are you content that that's what's happened here?
I have to say that we have accumulated experience, and the sector, the airline sector, including the airlines, the airports, the border control, administrations, customs, cargo handlers, are pretty well prepared and equipped. You see that there are masks, there are thermal imaging cameras, temperature control systems. So the sector has gained in experience from the previous outbreaks, the SARS, the MERS, the H1N1, the various outbreaks we have had to face in the past. And we are following very closely the WHO guidelines. We cooperate with the WHO. We have a medical group within IATA, composed with the 10 doctors or medical advisors of airlines. Plus, we have an observer seat at the WHO Emergency Committee. So, frankly, it's not too badly done. Of course, there could be areas of improvement. Everybody can do better, right. But the sector is not too badly prepared.
But what's interesting, of course, is that not only can there be transmission on the aircraft, the airlines are transporting people from China, and that in itself is a potential risk for contamination. So you are, in many ways, stuck right in the middle, aren't you? Because besides the virus contamination in Wuhan and central China, it is the transmission elsewhere from people traveling on airlines.
On that point, you must be aware of two things. First of all, the risk of contamination in traveling by plane is not higher than any other confined area, probably lower, because, first of all, we have trained crews inside, we have trained our cleaning crew, we have trained our handling crew, we have trained our maintenance crew, to fight against this type of virus. And secondly, the air is filtered inside the cabin, so there is the risk to catch the virus through breathing is probably lower in an aircraft than in any other confined area. The point is the proximity. You have more risk in touching someone who is sick than breathing the same air.